Sports presents the National League Championship Series. Today, it's Game 5. The Atlanta Braves versus the Florida Marlins.
It's October baseball, and this is October weather in South Florida as game time approaches a sizzling 86 degrees. In Game 5, it'll be Gregg Maddux, the four-time Cy Young Award winner, 19-4 for the regular season, the Game 1 loser in this LCS to the Marlins' Kevin Brown. But for the second consecutive game, Kevin Brown, who is still suffering from an intestinal virus, will be pushed back. He is now scheduled to start Game 6 Tuesday night in Atlanta. He's replaced today by the rookie right-hander from Cuba, Livan Hernadez, who won his first 9 big league decisions before dropping his next 3. Hi again, everybody, with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Mr. Baseball Bob Uecker. I'm Bob Costas, and Ueck, the way these Marlin bats have been going of late, well, it must make you feel proud.
I really do, Bob. I'll tell you, they have really been shut down. They've manufactured only 11 runs on 21 base hits in the first 4 games of this series. 2 of the big men who have really been shut down, one being Gary Sheffield. Despite hitting a home run against John Smoltz, he's 3 for 12 in the series. They're consistently staying away from Sheffield. The other man being Bobby Bonilla. He's 1 for 15 in the series, has yet to homer or knock in a run, and again, basically staying away. Fastballs away, they're getting strikeouts. The outside pitches that he's popping up, he's taking breaking balls as he did from Smoltz, and John Nagel in his shutout yesterday struck him out with a fastball.
Well, despite the quiet bats, the Marlins have managed to split the first 4 games, and today, if they're going to make any adjustments, they've got to make them against the toughest guy possible to deal with, and that, of course, is Gregg Maddux.
Gregg Maddux pitches everyone away. That is why he only gave up 9 home runs in 232 2/3 innings. In Game 1, with Bruce Framing behind the plate, he did not get calls on pitches off the plate outside. But earlier in the season, he did get some calls, and in those games, he dominated the hitters. One thing to remember, each and every umpire has his own interpretation of what the strike zone is. And today, we'll see a different strike zone from Eric Gregg.
And how would you characterize Eric Gregg's strike zone?
Well, I think Eric Gregg's strike zone is more of a pitcher strike zone compared to Bruce Framing's.
So that's good news for Maddux. Let's get some more news concerning the Braves. Bobby Cox is standing by live with our Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Bobby, what does it do to you guys? You've been expecting Kevin Brown for the past couple of days. Does it alter the way that you think and the way you have to manage that he hasn't pitched?
No, not at all. As long as the players know, a couple hours before the game starts, it's easy to review what they've done against Hernandez and things like that. It's no big problem. I kind of felt, Hernandez was going to pitch anyway. So, he's going to get the extra rest on Tuesday. So, a smart thing to do for him.
Ryan Klesko was out of the lineup yesterday. He's going to play today. How is his left shoulder and his left wrist?
Well, he swung real good in batting practice, so I expect Ryan to produce some runs today, hopefully, and he's all right. This time of the year, you're going to play with some things like that.
Bobby, is it easier to figure out Gregg Maddux after you've seen him and having another chance? They were successful the other night insofar as they won. Really didn't hit him very well. Is it easier the second time you get a shot at him?
I don't know. Gregg's pitches a good game almost every time out, practically every time out, and he gave up no earned runs his last start, and I hope he can do that again today.
You feel you're back in the catbird seat here in control of this series, having won last night, and you've got 3 Cy Young winners in a row coming up?
Nah, you got to play the game of baseball, and they've got a young kid out there that's shot lights out the second half of the season, and he knows how to pitch. He's an experienced guy for only being over here a couple of years, and he pitches like a veteran, to be honest with you.
Bobby, thanks for joining us. Good luck today.
All right,
Bob Costas, back upstairs to you.
Well, what Bobby Cox says about Livan Hernadez is, by all reports, true. He's remarkably composed. He has more experience, actually, than most 22-year-olds would have. He pitched for a number of years for the Cuban national team, and that's a very high caliber of baseball. Our Jim Gray is a very busy man. Just a few moments ago, he taped an interview with Ryan Klesko and Chipper Jones. Roll it.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. We've talked a lot about the Marlins' health and Kevin Brown. Braves have a couple of problems themselves. Ryan Klesko back today in left field. How's the shoulder and the wrist?
Just feeling better, you know, a good day off yesterday in treatment, all solid through the game yesterday, and I jammed myself on that track a little bit, and it was just a little sore yesterday, and just really wanted to make sure that I was okay to play today, and took the day off, and fortunately we got a win yesterday, and played some good baseball, and hopefully we can continue today.
Mobility is okay?
Definitely. It's feeling a lot better today.
And then in batting practice today, Chipper Jones, standing out in left field himself, inexplicably beamed by one of his teammates with a line drive right here to the side of the head. Were you KO'd, and are you all right, a little woozy, or are you going to be able to go?
I was a little woozy right there at first, but I think I can shake it off. I got a pretty hard head, so I don't think I'm any the worse for wear.
Do you know who did it?
No, I don't even know who did it. I know this guy tried to hit me a couple times when I was walking off. It was like everybody was aiming at me today.
Dangerous down here. You got to watch out for your own teammates. All right, back upstairs to you, Bob.
Okay, Jim, you know, I hesitate to relay this information, but I feel I must. Before the game, during batting practice, Bob Uecker strolled up to Chipper Jones, extended his hand and said, "Chipper, congratulations, you're red hot." Jones shook his hand and then pulled back, recoiling, saying, "Wait a minute, if I'm hot, why am I shaking your hand? That'll only jinx me." Next thing you know, he gets bonked on the dome by a line drive, and look at him. He looks up toward the press box at Uecker, said, "Hey, you shake the hand of a career 200 hitter when you're riding a hot streak. What can you expect?"
Hey, sorry, Chipper. Yeah, I told him that. I said, maybe I shouldn't have shaken your hand. He said, "I hope you didn't jinx me."
In a few moments, Livan Hernadez will take to the mound. What a story this youngster is. Cuban defector. His entire family is still back in Cuba. He told me before the game, he speaks only broken English, as you might expect, but he told me that he has only occasional contact with his family. His brother once pitched for the Cuban national team, as he did. He started the season in the minor leagues and really did not pitch all that well at Charlotte. In fact, through the first 2 months of the minor league season, his ERA was over 6. Then he had a good June. They called him up in July, and through his first 12 games, he went 9-0, the first rookie pitcher to go 9-0 since Whitey Ford in 1950. As you see, he had a tough September, but he's rebounded to pitch well in the postseason against both the Giants and the Braves out of the bullpen. In fact, he got the victory. He was the pitcher of record in relief of Tony Saunders here on Friday night and picked up the Game 3 win. But he hasn't allowed a run in this postseason in 5 2/3 innings of work. The last 2 nights in Florida, they've set all-time single-game attendance records for baseball. This is obviously a football stadium. Used to be Joe Robbie Stadium. Like many franchises, they're pushing for a new baseball-only park, and it's unclear whether or not they can get it. In the meantime, though, this place has been jumping. Postseason baseball, a first-time experience for this young franchise.
Yeah, all over the place, Bob. Miami and Fort Lauderdale, every place you look, people are talking Marlins. And in coming here to the ballpark early this morning, the lines waiting to get into this place and get their little celebrations going in the parking lots were tremendous.
In what now comes down to a best 2 out of 3, the Braves have Maddux, Livan, and Smoltz rested and ready if it goes as far as 7. The Marlins have an ailing ace in Kevin Brown and 2 rookies, Livan Hernadez and Tony Saunders.
Well, in baseball, unlike other sports, momentum is really today's starting pitcher. And if you look at it that way, everything goes in the Braves' favor. But these Marlins have been able to fight and scratch all year, and I would not count them out of this series.
Atlanta's order for Game 5. Lockhart has been playing second base against the right-handers and Graffinino against the lefties. Chipper Jones 3 for 5 last night, bringing his career postseason batting average to .373 over the past 3 seasons. Plesko with a couple of homers in the series, back in the lineup, nursing the sore shoulder and wrist. Tucker, Perez, Blauser, and Maddux. Perez, of course, Maddux's personal catcher.
Well, let's take a look at Hernadez. He has a fastball, curveball, slide, and a change. And his strong suit is he will throw all the pitches at any time, and he can throw them for strikes. He's really not overpowering. He just has to move the ball around, in, out, up, and down, and change speeds. And he does that very well. And let's take a look at the defense behind Hernadez. And Bobby Bonilla has made 22 errors over the course of the season, but he has played very well here in the playoffs.
He actually has played well with the glove, as you say, but just 1 for 15 with the bat in this series after hitting .297 during the regular year. Of course, Maddux, Glavin, Smoltz, and Nagel will put a lot of guys in a slump. Usually they're out of town after 3 or 4 games. That's the regular season. Here you could see them for 6 or 7. Livan Hernadez, there's his opponent today, Gregg Maddux, toweling off. Very warm day. Livan Hernadez faced Atlanta 1 time this season, pitched 5 1/3, allowed 2 earned runs, didn't figure in the decision. After a .333 regular season, Lofton, as you see, is just 3 for 19 in this series. 2 of those hits were a bunt and an infield single. Tries to bunt here, stabs at it and misses. Postseason overall, just 5 for 32 and without a steal. This ball is ripped for extra bases inside first base, heading for the corner. At least a double, and with Lofton you never know. He's thinking 3. Kenny Lofton wants a triple, and that's how this game begins.
This looks to be an off-speed pitch from Hernadez on the inside part. You can't throw Lofton in there, not with off-speed stuff. That's what it appeared to be, a slider or an off-speed pitch. And here it is into that right field corner. And before Gary Sheffield can finally run it down, it looked to be a waist-high fastball as we look at it again. And here comes Lofton heading for second. He's not stopping there. He's heading for 3, and he makes it.
And as we welcome those of you who watched Tennessee defeat Cincinnati 30-7, Keith Lockhart steps in and takes a breaking ball from Hernadez for a strike. Lofton, who tripled, is at third with nobody out on the top of the first. A heck of a greeting for a rookie making his first postseason start.
As the series progresses, you'll see hitters making adjustments to pitchers, pitchers making adjustments to hitters. The adjustments they've made with Lockhart are a lot of breaking balls.
Like that one, but it's off the outside corner.
Because he hammered the fastball in the games that he has played, so they're going to throw him a lot of breaking balls whenever possible. If they get behind the count, of course, they have to come with something else.
Hernadez has pitched well out of the bullpen in appearances against the Giants and the Braves in this postseason, but this is a different deal. Asked to start against Gregg Maddux. 3-1.
You know, in talking about Hernadez, Joe, and his scouting report, talking about him not being overpowering, that first fastball that he threw to Lofton might be a pretty good indication today of what his velocity really is, to have Lofton turn on it that quickly and lead off with a triple.
And I think Bobby Bonilla went in and talked to him and tried to say, look, Lofton hit your fastball, but don't go away from your fastball. He's thrown all breaking balls here to Lockhart.
The 3-1 misses, and Chipper Jones, 7 for 16 in the series, will come up with runners at first and third and nobody out.
And we'll see if they've made any adjustments on Chipper Jones. He has been wearing the Marlins out, and they were first started off trying to throw him fastballs on the inside corner and off the inside corner. Then they went away with breaking balls. We'll see how they pitch him today. You normally pitch him inside, but you can't make any mistakes and let that ball run back out over the plate. And that's what they did in the first couple of ball games, and he hit the ball out of the ballpark. So we'll see if they stay inside or if they try to change speeds on it.
Curveball, and Gregg gives it to him on the outside edge.
And there they go. They changed their pattern because they were inside before with the fastball, and Hernadez starts him off with a breaking ball away.
Joe, you talked about Eric Gregg being a pitcher's umpire. That's a pretty good indication right there. We're in the opening inning, and those 2 pitches were really questionable strikes, but that's the way he's going to be.
Fastball here for the called strike 2. First and third, nobody out. The 0-2 to Chipper. He pokes it foul. Lofton, who tripled to start the game, at third with Coach Bobby Dews. Lockhart, who followed with a walk, is on at first. Conine holding him there.
Well, he wanted Hernandez to throw a fastball up and in, and he said no, he's going to go away again.
1-2.
I agree with Charles Johnson. That should have been an 0-2 fastball up and in, because he's thrown all the other pitches away.
And 2 strikes. The crowd wanted the call and didn't get it.
It's amazing to me that Chipper would take that pitch.
Yeah, it was
because
close.
A couple of pitches out there have been called strikes. Plus, it's a hanger. I mean, that's the ball you want to hit, because you're going to automatically get it in the air.
McGriff will be next. Struck him out.
Tougher to hit the good breaking ball than it is to hit that little hanger right there. Well, they've made the adjustment. They've gone away with Chipper Jones as compared to the first 2 ball games. Everything you see here is away. All the pitchers away. Fastballs away, and then he finishes him off with a breaking ball after the hanger right there. Perfect breaking ball over the outside corner. So that's the adjustment they've made against Chipper Jones and also against Keith Lockhart. No more fastballs in fastball situations.
Now McGriff, a guy you can double if he hits it on the ground. Staying away from him with ball 1. Eric Gregg has the plate. Frank Pulley at first. Bruce Fremming at second. Charlie Williams at third. Mike Winters on the left field line. Jerry Lane calls the plays in right. On the corner.
Well, that's basically where he's going to stay, evidently. Here's that last fastball on Freddie McGriff. Started him off with a breaking ball, now comes with a fastball, and right on the outside corner, right there.
Well, you should learn from watching Maddux and these guys pitch. They stay away and they're successful.
Well, if Eric Gregg calls them this way for Greg Maddux as well, Maddux ought to be smiling in the other dugout.
Well, but if you're Jim Leland, all you want is a fair strike zone. You want the same for both pitchers. It doesn't matter which strike zone he uses. The players will have to adjust as long as he's consistent with it.
The 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball off the outside corner this time.
We may have a 59-minute game today.
Well, they pitched these guys inside in the first couple of ball games. They made mistakes and they got hammered. They watched Maddux and these guys pitch them away. Now they're learning something. I agree, you should learn from watching great pitchers pitch, and I think the Marlins are learning. Stay away from these hitters.
2-2 pitch, and he gets McGriff swinging. The bottom dropped out of that one.
Now remember, McGriff knows they were pitching him inside earlier, so you're always aware that they will come in. All of these pitches again are away on the outside corner or just off. And he finishes him off by throwing a beautiful curveball over the outside part of the plate.
I guarantee if Fred McGriff is talking about the calls by Eric Gregg, though, he's gotten the attention, talking about Gregg, he's gotten the attention of McGriff and Chipper Jones on a couple of those outside corner pitches.
You see Charles Johnson goes to the outside again. Earlier in the series, they pitched Plesko inside as well, and he hit a couple of home runs on mistakes in there. So they're staying away from these hitters.
Outside, you see Hernandez is wearing the 32 on his cap. Most of the Marlins have it there in tribute to Alex Hernandez, who won 17 games for them this year. 2-0, and then went down after his Game 2 start. There's Alex. He'll be in uniform. He'll go on the road with the team to Atlanta for the rest of this series and to the World Series if they make it that far. He has a fully torn right rotator cuff, and he's done for the postseason and probably all of next year. Called strike.
Well, Jim Leland said he saw Alex Hernandez in the locker room today throwing a ball around just to see if he could throw.
Klesko fouls it off 2-2.
But you can see a distinct difference in their approach today as compared to the first 2 ball games in Atlanta. They were inside with all the fastballs. Today they're away with fastballs and the curveball.
And the key at bat here for Klesko to see if he can really get extension, Joe, on that injured left shoulder.
Can Livan Hernadez get out of it? Yes, he can. First and third, nobody out. He fans the heart of the order. Jones, McGriff, and Klesko.
Well, Livan Hernadez, after the leadoff triple by Lofton and the walk, watch this, strikes out Jones on an outside corner curve. McGriff on a low outside curveball, and then Klesko looking at an outside corner fastball. Wow, and look at that Marlins bench. Hey, Gregg on. Alex Hernandez right there. That a baby.
Gregg Zahn all worked up. Livan Hernadez, meanwhile, the guy who did the work, looking rather placid on the bench. Next to his catcher, Charles Johnson. Here's the Marlin batting order. Devon White, the switch hitter, is back at the top. Renteria at short. Sheffield, Bonilla, and Conine. Bonilla just 1 for 15 and Conine 0 for 11 in this series. Alou back in left field. Johnson the catcher. Counsell at second against the right-hander, and Hernandez, of course, the pitcher. And here's the scouting report on Greg Maddux.
He has great control. I mean, he works the corners, good movement, but he really keeps everything away. He only comes inside every once in a while just to keep you honest. Does not throw many curveballs, but a lot of changeups. And let's take a look at the defense behind him. He hopes he'll have better defense in this ballgame than he had in Game 1. But Maddux himself, a very good defensive player. 4 Gold Gloves for Greg Maddux.
All 5 of the runs against him in his Game 1 loss were unearned. White just 2 for 13 in this series. Had a big grand slam against the Giants in the divisional series and a called strike.
Maybe the best pitch he's going to see all day.
Isn't that ironic? Maddux normally stays away, starts off the leadoff man with an inside corner fastball and another one.
He will pitch left-handers inside because the ball comes back. The left-hander, he starts it off the plate inside and they give up on it and it comes back. But he rarely will pitch a right-hander inside.
Hit him, and it looked to me like White wasn't too anxious to get out of the way.
Well, that's what Maddux is yelling at. He did not make an attempt. You have to make an attempt to get out of the way. But that ball was not in the strike zone. It was in the batter's box. So technically, if he gets hit, he's hit. And watch where this pitch is. This is the one he tries to start inside and move back over the inside corner. Devon White does help him out. He bends his knee to get the call, but I've seen Ron Hunt, several players do this. He does not move into the ball. He just does not move away from the ball.
Well, I think he leaned into it, Joe. I think he stuck that knee in there. There it is right there.
No, I disagree. I think that's his batting style.
Well, normally you see a guy do that on a change of pace, not on somebody's fastball.
Well, especially around the knee. You can get hurt on the knee.
Well, that tells you what Devon White thinks of his fastball. I'll tell you, you've seen it happen many times before. You stick your arm or leg in against some guy who really throws on a changeup or a curve, and your next time up, if you're going to try that, he's going to give you a real good fastball.
Jim Leland told us before the game, if Devon White gets on to lead off against Maddux, I'll play hit and run on the first pitch. On the other hand, Renteria had 19 sacrifices, by far the most on the team. He's one of the best bunters in the league.
Maddux is aware of that. I mean, he's taken a lot of time with Devon White, which is more than he normally takes. Maddux usually does not bother with the runner at first in the first inning.
He goes, the pitch is low and away. It gets by Perez. White with a huge turn at second, and he'll hold there.
I don't know if that was a pitch out or not. If that was a pitch out, that was a bad pitch out by Maddux, and if indeed Perez did call for a pitch out, it was a bad location.
All right, see where Perez is set up? He does not want the pitch is just supposed to be outside. See, and he holds on to it too long. If you watch where Perez was set up, he was already set up in a pitch-out situation. Devon White running, and you can see there he was looking back to see what happens. And Eddie Perez hustled the ball down and kept him to second base. So that should be a stolen base.
Now, do you trust Renteria to push it to the right side with a swing, or do you have him bunt? Here's your answer. He tries to bunt, and it's strike one. Rich Donnelly, the coach, at third. Tommy Sant on the lines at first. Gary Sheffield on deck. White at second with nobody out. The 0-2 pitch. Throws his bat at it and comes up empty. Renteria on the hit and run had thrown his bat at the first pitch, even though it was way outside, and got by Perez.
Well, in trying to advance White to third, here's a low outside breaking ball from Maddux, and Renteria trying to hit that ball to the right side. His backside was not in there. He bailed out on that breaking ball and threw the bat at the ball, his only chance to try and hit it to the right side.
If you're going to give yourself up to that extent, and if you're that good a bunter, why not try to bunt with 2 strikes?
And you do not always have to push that ball. He could have bunted the ball down the third baseline. Maybe try to beat it out for a base hit.
Sheffield. Ball 1 to him.
Take a look at his hit chart. You see he pulls the ball most of the time. That's because he has a very quick bat, and he stands close enough to the plate that he can reach out and pull pitches that are middle of the plate out, as we saw him do against John Smoltz for his home run.
Now he shows bunt.
Well, that was just to see if Maddux was going to give him a pitch to hit. See, a lot of times with Maddux, he throws a pitch out of the strike zone, and then you chase one. Gary Sheffield wanted to see if Maddux is really going to come after him or not in this situation.
White was hit by a pitch, then stole second. Who walked only 20 men during the regular season, 6 of them intentionally, is behind Sheffield 3-0.
This is what makes Maddux such a great pitcher. He knows who can hurt him the most in the lineup, and he tries to eliminate that person when he can hurt him. He figures he has a better chance of getting a double play ball from Bonilla than he does of getting Sheffield out in certain situations.
Gary Sheffield whacking here if he gets something good. Ooh!
Well, that wasn't that good. That was a little breaking ball. It didn't look like much, but it was a little breaking ball over the outside corner. If you're going to whack 3-0, you should have a ball middle of the plate in.
Well, he's not going to get anything middle in, Joe. You know that.
Right.
The slumping Bonilla in the on-deck circle. 3-1 pitch is low. And the Marlins have runners at first and second with 1 out.
Well, here's that pitch sequence to Sheffield. Low and outside breaking ball again, low and away. Down low with a fastball. There's a pitch on the outside corner, and he walks into the fastball, and the Marlins have 2 on.
And it didn't matter what kind of strike zone Gregg had there. He wasn't going to give the Sheffield anything to hit.
It's been a recurring nightmare for Bonilla in League Championship Series play. Last year with Baltimore in the American League. This year with the Marlins, at least to this point. He's always been a big run producer in regular season play. He's seldom had big moments in the playoffs. He lays off, ball 1. When you're 19-4, just about all the numbers look good. But how about this? In day games, counting the playoffs, Maddux was 11-0, and he lost only once on the road. Opening day at Houston, April 2nd. 1-1.
Well, he started Bonilla off with a fastball and just missed low. Then comes back with that little off-speed fastball, that little sinking fastball down low and away, and Bonilla chases it.
1-2.
And this is the scouting report we had on Bonilla. He will chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. This is how Maddux struck him out in the first ball game. You see he's choking this changeup, and that's exactly what it is. And this is the way he pitched him in game 1. He struck him out a couple of times with breaking ball. This is what it looks like to Bobby Bonilla. You think it's in the strike zone, but it's 81 miles an hour, and it sinks down and away.
The 1-2 pitch. Line to center for a base hit that will put the Marlins in front. White scores. Sheffield to third as Bobby Bonilla comes through, pumping his fist as he walks back toward first.
Now he's the guy they've needed throughout this whole series. 1 for 15 over the first 4 games without a home run or an RBI. This time he takes Maddux in the right center field, driving in a run. That again was a changeup down low and away, and Bonilla went down and got it. Picks up the base hit to right center.
And Maddux was really upset with himself. He was trying to start that ball off the plate inside and let it move back, and it moved out over the plate where Bonilla could handle it. And Bobby Bo says yes. It's about time I do something.
Same is true of Conine, who's 0 for 11.
That foul ball got the attention of Gregg. High fastball on Conine. He hit it foul right back into the mask of Gregg.
Maddux finally gives up an earned run after giving up 5 unearned runs in the first ball game. And they have earned this run. That is truly an earned run. They did everything right in this inning to get that run across. The only mistake they made was Renteria not moving him up.
Quickly gets ahead of Conine, 0-2.
Now take a look on the face of Jeff Conine. That look at Gregg will tell you what he thought of that last pitch. As soon as Gregg called it a strike, watch Conine turn around and look. He watched that pitch all the way into the glove of Perez.
Sheffield at third, Bonilla at first with 1 out on the 0-2 pitch. Hit back to Maddux. He's a Gold Glover. There's 1 and 2, and they're out of the inning. The Marlins settle for 1. 1-0 after 1.
NBC's coverage of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by the company you count on wherever life takes you, General Motors, people in motion. And by Dean Witter. There are many ways to measure success. We measure it one investor at a time.
The Braves had first and third with nobody out on the top of the first, and Livan Hernadez proceeded to strike out Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, and Ryan Klesko in succession. The Marlins then got to Greg Maddux for a run in the bottom half. Michael Tucker leads off in the second. He'll be followed by Eddie Perez and Jeff Blauser. Fastball hit in the air to center field. White goes back. This ball's really carrying back at the fence and gone. Just like that, Jim Leland's 1-0 lead is gone.
One thing I noticed in batting practice, the ball is really carrying to right field and to center field. And that ball was hit straightaway center field, and the ball is really jumping out there today. That was one thing I noticed in batting practice. The wind is blowing out that way. Now, this is supposed to be a fastball away. Watch, he does not get it away. And it's up and over the middle of the plate, and he hits it well, but the wind helped it.
Well, of the couple of fastballs that he's thrown today, Joe, one went for a triple by Lofton, and now Tucker with a home run.
Eddie Perez, 2-0. Devon White turned at first as if he thought he had a play on the ball. for a strike.
Normally when Devon White gives this kind of a chase after a ball, it's in the ballpark. But as Joe said, it's been carrying well to right and center. He got out of here by plenty.
In fact, in batting practice, the ball was carrying so well, Darren Dalton wasn't playing. He said, man, I need to be in there.
3-1 pitch. Bounce toward third. Fair ball. Bonilla across the diamond. And that's the first out in the Atlanta second.
Tucker again with a high fastball out over the middle, and he really got it all. This ball carrying well to center, and it got out of here by plenty. Devon White giving chase, but no chance to make a play on that one.
Tucker hit 14 home runs during the regular season. Ties the game with that one. Here's Blauser, who hit one out last night.
And one thing to remember, it has to be a high fly ball for the wind to affect it.
That was his most effective pitch back in the opening inning, that curveball, the off-speed curveball, and that time Blauser chased.
Center field, White coming in on this one.
Quite a little lackadaisical on that one. He took that on the run rather than camping under it.
That's always been one of the things that people have talked about with Devon White, Joe, that he seems to be in cruise control all the time for plays that he should really bust out on. Here he is. I guess he's the only guy that knows he can catch these things, and that's his style of play. It's been that way since he's been in the big leagues. But it upsets a lot of people sometimes, and he looks a little lackadaisical.
Well, since he's won 7 Gold Gloves, he must be getting the most of them. Strike one pitch to Maddux. High and away. He hit just 104 this year. Normally a better hitter than that. His career average 172. Not bad for a pitcher. 1-2. Struck out 3 in the first. And runs the count out full to Maddux. Strikeout number 4 to close the book on the top of the second. But Michael Tucker began it with a home run, and we're even again at 1. Johnson and Counsell in the Florida second against Greg Maddux. Alou has only 1 hit in the series, but it was a 3-run double off Maddux in game 1. Marlins scored 3 in the first in game 1 versus Maddux. A single run against him in their first turn at bat today. 0-2. Second strikeout for Maddux. For highlights from today's football, we check quickly with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Bob, the resourceful Jacksonville Jaguars went to 5-1 today. They lost Natron Means to injury early. James Stewart stepped in to score 3 touchdowns and lead the Jags to a 38-21 win over the Eagles. And Jacksonville with a big matchup at Dallas next Sunday here on NBC. Bob.
All right, Greg, and we'll be checking with New York from time to time to get updates on football from today's action around the league. Ball 1 to Charles Johnson, who, like Alou, has just 1 hit in the series, and like Alou, it was a 3-run bases loaded double.
The pitch he hit off Maddux in that first ball game to drive in some runs was a changeup out over the plate.
To Maddux. Those are almost routine for him. There's the second out.
You can see why he's a Gold Glove. He ends up in perfect fielding position. Watch this. Watch where he ends up. He's in perfect fielding position. He's ready for the ball to come back, and it's right there.
Those guys that don't throw that overpowering fastball, Joe, or a real hard curveball, they've got the chance to get themselves set instead of somebody who's really a power pitcher pulling down and falling over toward the right side on those balls hit back through the middle.
Now Craig Counsell splitting time at second base with Kurt Abbott, 3 for 7 in this series. Let me correct myself on Charles Johnson. He has 2 doubles, one off Maddux that produced a run in game 1, and the bases clearing double that won the game on Friday night off John Smoltz. Those were his only 2 hits in the series. In there for a strike, 2-1. Considering how terrific all his other numbers are, when you look at Maddux's record in postseason play, it's almost ordinary. His overall postseason record is 8-6, 3-0 in the division series, 3-4 now in the LCS, counting the game 1 loss, and he's split 4 World Series decisions. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 for him so far in the game, tied at 1 after 2. Pretty good triple header there. Will be in either Atlanta or here in Florida as the World Series opens in the National League city in 1997.
I think I'll watch all 3, Bob.
I hope you'll be here for the 3rd one. Otherwise, there'll be an empty chair. Ball and a strike to Lofton. Led the game off with a triple. Lofton is, even with that hit, just 6 for 33 in this postseason. But in fairness, even when he's hit the ball hard, he's either been robbed of a hit or he's hit it right at somebody. Thinking about a bunt and fouling it off.
Well, his first time up, Johnson called a fastball, and it was right there around the inside part. He rammed it into the right field corner for a triple. Here, to lead off, he gets another fastball from Hernandez, and a little surprising. I thought he might stay with breaking stuff on him all the way.
Well, the first time was a mistake, Bob. They were supposed to throw the fastball away because they had the defense set up that way. He got the fastball in, and he ripped it. So he said, I can go away with the fastball like that. See, that's what he was trying to do the first time up. Stay away. You have to throw Lofton a lot of fastballs because you do not want to get behind the count and risk walking him. So you throw the fastball out there. I mean, right there is perfect. That's strike 3 if he doesn't hit it. So that's what they will throw him the fastball. They're just trying to stay away. One thing I'm watching here, I'm a little disappointed in is that Hernandez is shaking Johnson off a lot. Johnson knows exactly what they want to do.
Foul to the seats.
And that is the pitching coach has gone over. We're going to change and pitch these guys a little differently than we have in the past. And they want to stay away with the fastball. He called for another fastball away after the check swing. He shook him off, and he threw a breaking ball in.
You know, again, there are times when a pitcher has it in his own mind, in the back of his mind, no matter what you call, he's got an idea what he wants to do with a certain hitter. And sometimes it works, and sometimes he gets stuck.
That's okay for a veteran, but he's shaking him off. Now he wants to go inside again. Now Johnson's going to say, hey, look, we talked about this in the meeting. Our pitching coach, the manager thinks that we're better off staying away from these hitters. Let's do that. And I'm sure that's what he's reiterating what they talked about in the meeting.
He might be saying, look, do you want to come to Atlanta with us? Here's what they told me to call.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, Jim Leland felt that Kevin Brown would be better off pitching Game 6 on Tuesday when that intestinal virus was fully out of his system. Rather have him at close to 100% than, as he put it, at 80% today.
Here's Hernandez again.
He gave
Johnson put down a fastball, and he don't want to throw it. He wants to throw a breaking ball.
And there it is.
Now it's 3-2.
You know, that's really kind of funny. I mean, you go out and talk to a guy and say, look, this is the way we decided to pitch him. We've got to go this way. He says, okay. You go back, you put down a fastball, he shakes you off.
Fastball on 3-2, popped back. Johnson near the screen, no play.
This is what Johnson was trying to avoid. You try to make something happen with base stealers on 2-2. You do not want to take the count to 3-2 with him leading off the inning and then possibly walk him and put him on base where he can cause some havoc. That's why he tried to make it happen on 2-2 instead of going to 3-2 like he is now. If he misses, he's put Lofton on base.
Got a run off Maddux in the bottom of the first. Michael Tucker tied it with a leadoff homer for Atlanta in the top of the second. Braves batting in the third. Called strike 3. And it's the 5th through just 2 1/3 for Hernandez.
Well, he could have done that 3 pitches ago.
That's what Charles Johnson wanted initially.
Exactly. Look at Charles Johnson, target set up over the outside corner. Right there, late movement on that pitch. After it crossed the plate, it moved away. That was actually a good pitch.
That was real late movement, Joe.
Yeah.
That was real late movement.
Yeah.
Lockhart walked his first time up. Outside to him. Lockhart will be 33 next month. He spent 1986 through 1993 in the minors before finally getting a taste of the big leagues in '94 with the Padres. Then had a couple of good years with the Royals before coming over here. So here's a guy who just stuck to it when he might have counted himself out. 8 seasons in the minors before he finally got to the big time.
You know, I know this game is on in both clubhouses. And I'll guarantee you those hitters are going up there and looking at some of these strike calls by Eric Gregg and saying to themselves, hey, we better start going the other way. I mean, really, instead of taking these pitches, having hacks at him because he's going to call them strikes both ways.
So that's good. Swing the bat.
Yeah.
I'm one to talk.
Yeah, you took more pitches than just about anybody. Full count now to Lockhart.
Well, again on Lockhart. Johnson, the outside corner target. There's the fastball. That was right there. Good pitch.
The 3-2 is popped up. Johnson and Bonilla. Bonilla calling for it in foul ground. Folks, you can follow the baseball postseason online at MLBWorldSeries.com. Watch the video play of the day and relive the top moments from each game. Plus, you can talk live with Baltimore Oriole Harold Baines as he goes online with us tomorrow. That's Monday at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's all on MLBWorldSeries.com. A look at today's page.
A lot of called strikes. Livan has 14 called strikes. Maddux has 8 so far in this ball game.
Chipper Jones struck out his first time. Ground ball to short. Renteria to his left from behind the bag. Just in time. Hernandez works a perfect third. It's still a 1-1 ball game.
Good hops. The good shortstops catch the tough hops, and they make the plays. That could have gone as an error on a lot of shortstop, but this is a good shortstop. Watch how tough the play is. The thing he does, he gets his body in front of the ball, so when it runs up his arm, it doesn't run into the outfield. It runs right into his stomach, and he can make the play.
Livan Hernandez starts it in the bottom of the third, followed by Devon White and Renteria. Hernandez hit 172 during the regular year, at least according to my figures. Rolls that one just foul.
They need a new piece of lumber. This was an inside fastball from Maddux. He really jammed Hernandez. He hit that ball just foul outside of third, but watch this. Inside, got around on it and hit it just foul past third base.
172 was Livan Hernandez batting average for the season. And Maddux is ahead of him 0-2. When Hernandez first came to the States as a Cuban defector, they tell us he put on some 25 to 30 pounds just overeating, and a lot of it was at McDonald's. You can hardly blame him, though, coming into a new culture, and now the circumstances in Cuba are such, with food shortages, that it's even affecting the country's elites, people like athletes who generally were better taken care of than the rest of the populace. Hits this ball up the middle. Lockhart to his right, backhands, whirls and throws and gets him, with Hernandez not running very hard. Off to Greg Gumbel.
All right, Bob, the New England Patriots back on track after Monday night's loss at Denver. Drew Bledsoe threw 2 touchdown passes today. This is a 20-yarder to Ben Coates in the Patriots' 33-6 win over Buffalo. Next up for Bledsoe and company, a rematch with the Jets here on NBC Sunday. Bob?
With one out and nobody on, it'll be Devon White. Hit by a pitch to start the Florida first. He eventually scored on an RBI hit by Bonilla. Maddux's 1-0 pitch. Outside and high.
Unusual position for Charlie Williams. See, he's outside the foul line. Every other umpire is inside the foul line. Ball hit right over the bag might be tough for him to see. He's looking at different angles. You see, the first base umpire, you want to look right down the line to tell whether that ball comes over the bag or not. So interesting position there by Charlie Williams. All the other umpires, if you look, they're all in fair territory looking back down those lines. And Charlie Williams outside the line.
Frank Pulley at first, and Jerry Lane down the right field line. The 2-1 pitch. Maddux has struck out 3. And White stays alive. Has just 1 hit, the RBI single by Bonilla. The Rays have 2, a triple from Lofton, a homer by Tucker. Again on 2-2, and this time he finishes it. After a classic yesterday in Cleveland, the Orioles and the Indians are back at it at the Jake. That's on Fox tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time. We take tomorrow off, then Game 6, 8 o'clock Eastern Time from Turner Field. Kevin Brown scheduled to go for Florida against Tom Glavine, the Game 2 winner for the Braves. Ball 1 to Renteria, who bats with 2 out and nobody on in the Florida third.
Renteria, 54 base hits to left, 40 to center, and 49 to right. He kind of spreads them out all over the plate. Joe, as I watch him, he's got a little of that Gary Sheffield action in cocking that bat back and forth. Maybe not quite as sharply as Sheffield does it, and with as much action, but he's got the same kind of action as Gary Sheffield. Watch it right up there.
Well, he uses that to start the bat. Can't go from a dead stop, so that's his way of starting the bat. Everyone has their own trigger mechanism, and that's what he uses, and that's what Gary Sheffield uses.
Sheffield on deck. 3-1 pitch, bounce to short, Blauser charging, and that takes care of Florida in the third. After a shaky first, back-to-back perfect innings turned in by Maddux.
Maddux conferring following that last inning for Maddux. Everything's all right. You're in sync.
McGriff to start it and takes strike 1.
Take a look and see if they make any changes in the way that they pitch these hitters the second time through the order. First time up, they pitched them away, which I think is the way to do it. They started McGriff off fastball in and see if they go back away, because I think they should continue to pitch them away.
0-1 pitch out over the plate, hits softly into center field, and this one will drop in front of Devon White. I think that's Kevin Brown. Yeah, there he is, adjusting his cap. This is the first time we've seen him at Pro Player Stadium. Yawning a bit, perhaps a tad peaked, but at least on the bench, as he was not for games 3 and 4. The scheduled starter Tuesday in game 6. Ryan Klesko swings on the first pitch, pops it back to third. Bonilla and Renteria, and the shortstop calls Bobby Bo off to make the catch.
Smart play by Renteria. That Bobby was starting to stumble a little bit, and you have a better angle from shortstop than you do just going straight back from third base. I'm really impressed with the way that he takes charge out there. See, Bonilla's calling it, but he says, no, I got it. And Bonilla not real unhappy about that. He'll let him take it.
The sun is in and out from behind the clouds, but when it is out, the shadows are about halfway across the infield, just beyond the pitcher's mound. And the rest of the field is in sunshine when the clouds move out of the way. The sun behind the clouds right now. The lights are on at Pro Player Stadium. Tucker homered his first time up.
He hit a high fastball from Hernandez out of here in dead center field.
Tucker's a good fastball hitter, so you try to throw him a lot of breaking balls and changeups, but when you get behind the count like this, you better make a good pitch with the fastball. And he did, right over the outside corner.
Not a real big guy, but he had 14 home runs this year. Every once in a while, he'll pop you. Make a mistake on him, he'll pop you.
Everybody hits 14 nowadays.
That's, well, again.
Wasn't that your career total, actually, you? 14?
Yes, it was, as a matter of fact. All game winners, I might add.
You can't say I didn't keep up with you.
That's right.
I followed your career. You were my favorite player.
Thank you, Bobby.
Just about.
Just about.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. In there.
Man, that was a pretty good 3-1 pitch for the hitter to swing at. They were hit the outside corner 2-0, but watch, this ball gets middle of the plate in, and it's down where he should like it. I mean, that's a good pitch to hammer at. Surprised he took it.
McGriff, not terribly speedy, leads away. The 3-2 pitch with one out. He's not going. And a called strike 3, the 6th strikeout for Hernandez.
Beautiful curveball. He got him looking for a fastball, and now he throws him the curveball. And this is Hernandez at his best. He controls all of his pitches, and he can throw it off speed. Let's take a look on supervision and see it's 72 miles an hour. You can see how much break there was in that ball. 10 inches straight down. Great pitch there by Hernandez.
Perez to the plate, taking a strike. As supervision showed you with the computer tracking of the pitch, with Hernandez you get a lot of up and down action because he relies on that curveball rather than lateral movement.
Yeah, more lateral from Gregg Maddux.
1-1.
Neither one is overpowering, so any fastballs, there's going to be a little dip at the end. Those guys that throw in the middle to upper 90s, you don't see much of a difference from the release point until it gets to the plate.
Short hops the ball, goes to second, Counsell covering for the force. McGriff leads off with a single, but nothing comes of it. Still 1-1. With the sun popping back out from behind the clouds, you can see that the shadows extend to just beyond the pitcher's mound. Any factor at all, Joe?
Well, I think it is, because anytime there's bright sunlight on the background and you're in the shadows, it's very tough. And especially here, because the background's so far away, it's tough to get good depth perception. You get a look at it right there, that's the difference.
Sheffield walked his first time up. Three for 12 in the series, including the Game 3 homer off Smoltz. He had a regular season home run this year against Maddux. Gregg took the brunt of that one. Look at him shaking it off.
Now, wait a minute. Those things really don't feel that bad. I mean, they really don't.
Well, you know, day game after a night game, it might be what you need to sort of shake the cobwebs out.
Got guys in the dugout are yelling at him right now. That's why you have a mask on. Doesn't hurt.
I'm all right. They really don't hurt that much. Every once in a while, they rattle you up a little bit. That's why I got out of the game. I started liking that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Now the 0-1 to Sheffield, grounded foul. Well, Bruce Fleming, who had the plate earlier in the series, game 1, which Maddux also pitched, took a foul tip off the left shoulder. We ran into him in the hotel lobby here in Florida. Talk about an ugly bruise. About the size of a grapefruit and multiple colors. None of them very pretty. Bouncing ball to short. Blauser. It stayed down, but he comes up with it. And there's the first out. Off we go to New York. Here's Gregg Gumbel.
All right, Bob, the Bears came close against Green Bay today. They scored with less than 2 minutes to play and trailed 24-23. Winless this season. They passed up a chance for a tie in overtime, going for 2 in the win. But Eric Kramer's pass was incomplete. Green Bay wins. They're tied with Tampa atop the NFC Central. Chicago 0-7 on the year, Bob.
Bobby Bonilla with his second hit of the day. Drove in a run with a single in the first. Here he's aboard with 1 out on the 4th.
That's about the same kind of a pitch that he hit the first time. Down low and away from Maddux. This is about the same kind of a pitch. There it is, that sinker down low and away. He went down and got it. Got enough of it to drop it over the head of Blauser.
Well, his approach is different. You can see both of those pitches are away, as you mentioned, but his approach was different. With 2 strikes the first time up, he was going back through the middle, and this time he's going the other way.
Conine. A long drive to left. Sounds good off the bat. Klesko to the fence for the catch. Bonilla now racing back to first, and he makes it.
You have to get the ball up high. You can't hit line drives. And Maddux thought that ball was gone, but he says, you know, you have to get the ball in the air for the wind to help you. That ball was not high enough. But he hits this ball pretty well. It's a fastball that runs back to the middle of the plate, and he hits it hard, but he did not get it up enough, so the wind did not give him any help. Maddux thought it was gone. I thought it was gone when he first hit it, but the ball does not carry if you do not get it up high enough.
So Conine is still hitless in this LCS at 0 for 13 his first time up. He grounded into a double play with runners at first and third to end a threat in the first.
That last pitch is an example of why, to me, you move up on the plate on Maddux, because try to make him pitch you in, and that sometimes that ball will get in the middle of the plate if he makes a mistake. If he makes a mistake away, it's always going to be away from you. Make him try to pitch you in.
Alou struck out his first time. Strike 1.
And he's wearing the outside corner out on Alou. If you move up, sure, you give him a little more of a kitchen or something to shoot at on the inside corner, but if he makes a mistake in there, you can hurt him. If he misses away, you can't hurt him.
Now, when you look at Alou standing in there, Joe, when he takes his swing, he's covered the outside corner and even a little more than that.
But you have to be able to cover it mentally, because if you start to pull off, you'll get more ball toward the end of the bat. And when I say mentally, you can't just say I cover the outside corner and go after it. You have to go with your upper part of your body. The upper part of your body has to stay in your front shoulder, and you go to the ball.
Bonilla at first with 2 out. We're in the 4th, tied at 1. One and 2 to Moises Alou.
That last pitch, a changeup by Maddux. Look at that grip in there. See how he chokes that ball? He jams that ball back in his fingers and really chokes it off. And Alou way out in front of a beautiful changeup from Maddux.
Now his 1-2 pitch. Just low.
The key to a changeup is that you have the same arm speed with your changeup that you have with your fastball. So when gripping it with 2 fingers to throw your fastball, you get the velocity. When you choke it back like he does, you can still have the same arm speed, but the ball will come out slower. And that's why it's effective.
And that is strikeout number 5 for Gregg Maddux. We've played 4, tied at 1. Blauser and Maddux at the bottom of the order, then back up top for Lofton in the Atlanta 5th. A little tap that's foul. Livan Hernadez, the rookie, at 9-3, being asked to match up with perhaps the greatest pitcher of his generation, Gregg Maddux, 4-time Cy Young Award winner, 19-4 this year. And through 4, Hernandez is even with him, 1 apiece. 0-2. Hernandez has struck out 6 and he's walked 1. He's allowed the Braves 3 hits, one of which was a solo homer by Michael Tucker in the 2nd.
Again, he's shaken Charles Johnson off 3 times, and then finally Johnson puts down something that he likes. Let's see what it is. Fastball away.
Number 7. Well, he has an idea about how he wants to pitch.
Well, Alou against Maddux has had problems today. He struck him out twice. First time up, sinker, call, strike on the outside corner. Next time up for a Alou fastball, swing and a miss. Outside corner, another fastball.
Maddux to the plate, curveball for a strike.
Say that first strikeout, Bobby, I'd like to see Hank Aaron try to hit that. That was nasty.
Well, I'm telling you, every once in a while he throws a sinker that really comes back and the bottom falls out of it.
The hammer might have gotten a piece of it, but I don't think he would have done much with it.
The 1-1. A fastball, and Maddux got a good piece of that, driving it foul to deep left.
Got a little elevation on that fastball. Got underneath it. A pitcher's delight, a fastball right down the middle. Looking fastball, got it, and hit it foul.
Another fastball low. The Cuban national team for many years has been the best amateur team in the world. Hernandez pitched for them for a few years. There's little doubt that he has a good idea, even though he's a rookie, new to this country, pitching to the best receiver in the league, if not in the game. He has an idea of how he wants to pitch. Fastball spoiled by Maddux.
Well, he should have an idea, and Bobby's right. I just feel like it would take a lot of the pressure off of him and let him just execute if he would follow the game plan that they have set. Charles Johnson knows the game plan. That way he can just worry about his execution and his mechanics out there.
Maddux making him work, still full count. Center field, Devon White. That takes care of Gregg Maddux and leads us to Greg Gumbel.
All right, Bob, for those wondering what's wrong with Dan Marino, here's your answer. 372 yards and 2 touchdowns today, including this one. 36 yards to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the Dolphins knock off the New York Jets 31-20. Miami improves to 4-2 on the year. The Jets fall to 4-3. Bob.
We're at the home of the Dolphins. Fans here hoping for a doubleheader sweep of sorts, football, baseball. A strike to Lofton from Hernandez. Kenny has tripled and struck out. Mia in close at third. A pop-up. Renteria and Counsell, either one can. Renteria will, and Hernandez works a perfect 5th. Halfway through, tied at 1. Bob Uecker and Joe Morgan. Bob Costas back in South Florida. This is a new experience for the fans here. They're Marlins in postseason play in the major leagues, but actually it's the second time around for a team called the Marlins in this area. There was a AAA club run by the legendary Bill Veeck, the Miami Marlins, here from 1956 through 60. The Hall of Famer Jimmy Fox was one of their coaches, and Satchel Paige, closing in on 60 by then, was helicoptered to the mound for opening night in 1956 before a sellout crowd. The team was here until 1960 when they moved to San Juan, Puerto Rico.
I had a chance to spend some time with Satchel Paige in Atlanta, and they brought him back to the major leagues and put him on the roster to get a pension. What a great guy. What a great guy to be around, and what a great storyteller. And a lot of old hitters you talk to, Joe, about Satchel Paige in talking about velocity and breaking stuff, said he's one of the toughest pitchers they ever faced.
Bottom of the 5th. Charles Johnson will start it. Counsell and Hernandez to follow. Ripped foul, and it holds at 0-2. As a receiver, Joe, how would you compare this guy to your legendary teammate Johnny Bench?
Well, Sparky Anderson always says don't ever embarrass anybody by comparing him to Johnny Bench. But I must say I've compared two people, both he and Livan Hernadez of the Texas Rangers, to Johnny Bench.
Livan
Rodriguez, I'm sorry. They're very similar in that they're all very quick, all strong and very accurate throwing arms. But I've always said, you know, if you look under catcher in the dictionary, there's a picture of Johnny Bench. And I really believe that. Johnny Bench was, you know, almost the perfect catcher. And maybe in 2 or 3 more years, I'll put these guys in the same class. But I still think Johnny Bench is the greatest catcher I've ever seen.
Johnson goes down swinging to start the 5th. Craig Counsell now slaps one to short. Lauser throws him out. The Johnson strikeout was the 6th put in the books today by Gregg Maddux.
But make no mistake about it, both Rodriguez and Johnson are great at their position, and they're only going to get better.
I think that kid in Texas, Joe, reminds me more of Bench because of his quicker release.
And the way he's built.
Yeah, and Johnson, Charles Johnson, really an outstanding receiver and thrower, but he has a little longer delivery. I mean, a lot of velocity. He makes up for that long delivery with a lot of velocity. But that guy in Texas, I don't know if I've seen anybody in the league, either league, as far as the last few years goes, that throws better than that guy. I mean, he's really something.
A strike to Livan Hernandez, who grounded out his only at-bat so far. The Marlins got a run off Maddux in the 1st. He was out of the batter's box, apparently, when he was struck by that ball, and Eric Gregg has called him out. Let's take a look. He's calling Jim Leland over for an explanation.
Well, you can see his front foot is out of the batter's box, but I mean, guys start with their foot out of the batter's box a lot of times.
I thought at first he was struck by the ball, but the ball was tipped back. And he's simply calling him out for being outside the batter's box. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Leland wants an explanation.
Well, here's the point. He says he told him twice, and that tells you why. You can look right here is where the batter's box should go. Not a straight line there, but you can see his foot is well outside of the line here. And he said he told him twice. That's the key.
Now Lockhart rolls the curveball to Renteria. The pickup at the other end by Conine. And Lockhart is retired to start the 6th. Well, as you heard Gregg say, he warned Livan Hernandez twice. A couple of things you should know. That scored a putout for the catcher unassisted, so Eddie Perez gets the putout on the foul tip. Hernandez did stride outside the edge of the batter's box. It's Rule 606A. If a batter hits a ball fair or foul while out of the batter's box, he shall be called out. Obviously, umpires use their discretion, and Gregg's point was, I'd warned him about it. I wasn't going to nail him on it the first time or even the second, but that was the 3rd time.
I think you'll see more hitters stay in this batter's box because Chipper Jones and a couple of the Braves hitters always stood at the back edge of that line.
Well, Livan Hernandez having kind of a tough day today. Charles Johnson's been out to the mound a couple of times and tell him what to throw. He wanted to throw something else. Gregg tells him to get in the batter's box twice, and he doesn't do that either.
Well, that shot we had showed Chipper Jones right on the line now. now he's right there on the line.
Well, maybe Gregg has a different feeling about the front of the box as opposed to the back.
Well, technically he's on the line, so he's not out of the box.
But he is out on strikes. The second time he struck out today, and 8 strikeouts through 5 2/3 for Hernandez. An NBC original event, Halloween weekend, Legends of Evil coming alive in present-day LA.
Get out, there's somebody coming.
It's the House of Frankenstein, 1997, November 2nd.
That doesn't bother me as much, today as it did last night.
Well,
I got back to the hotel and I could still hear you reading that thing. I could not go to sleep.
One of the reasons that Hernandez has 8 strikeouts because the Braves have not adjusted to his change in pitch, the Marlins change in their pitching philosophy. The first few ball games they pitched all these left-handed hitters in. Today they're going away, and none of them have adjusted so far.
The 1-1 pitch to McGriff with 2 out and nobody on. Livan Hernandez has only been in the major leagues for half of a season since he began this year in the minors at Charlotte. But 8 strikeouts ties his career high. And we're only in the 6th. They come to their feet in anticipation of the 1-2 pitch. McGriff has already struck out once. He's also singled. Did he get him? They check at third, and Charlie Williams punches him out. 9 for Hernandez through 6. Matching up very well with the game's best.
Well, moments ago in the dugout, you can watch Livan Hernandez. He's describing what happened when he stepped in the batter's box, and he stepped out of the batter's box and was called out.
Devon White starts it in the bottom of the 6th with Chipper Jones in close on the grass. Strike.
It'd be a bad story if Eddie Perez told Livan Hernandez in Spanish, hey, you want to move up in the box a little? Go ahead. It's okay to do that here.
Perez caught 31 of Maddux's 33 starts. He's not nearly the hitter Javi Lopez is, but if you're going to give Lopez the occasional day off, and if Maddux feels more comfortable throwing to Perez, why not? Were you ever anybody's personal catcher, you?
Not after Legion ball, Bobby. Not after Legion ball. After Legion.
We just had an interesting scenario there. Devon White asked for a look at the ball, but he asked for it after Maddux got the ball back just before he got ready to throw again. The pitch he thought had too much movement on it to be a natural fastball, and he asked, and when he walked out there, Maddux tried to pitch the ball actually to Perez, and Gregg tried to intercept it. He didn't, though.
2-1 pitch, bounce foul.
And maybe that's what you were talking about, Uke. Every once in a while, he'll throw a pitch that you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now, see, watch. Eric will try to give it to me. Now, watch. Maddux walks in. He doesn't throw it to him. He throws it over to the catcher. And he just looks at it real quickly and throws it back.
Thanks.
That's a great examination there, wasn't it?
Full count.
I might have been Phil Nico's personal catcher. That would be about as close as I ever came. I did catch a lot for Whitlow Wyatt. He was one of our batting practice pitchers in Atlanta.
Well, you have to be versatile. Make yourself useful.
That's what I say. Costs a little more to send the very best.
The 3-2. Got him. And that's 7 for Maddux. Here's the lineup on NBC tonight. First, a powerful tornado brings devastation to the heart of a metropolis. It's downtown Miami, as a matter of fact. Survivor stories on Dateline, then all-new comedy with Men Behaving Badly and Jenny, followed by an NBC original movie every 9 seconds after the game on NBC.
Maddux just will not give in. He threw a lot of fastballs to White, and then he threw him a changeup on 3-2.
Renteria. Chipper Jones has his roller, and that's the second out in the 6th. Of course, with Maddux, There's the true changeup, and then the fact that he throws all of his pitches, which might not be called changeups, at varying speeds.
You're right, because most of his pitches are changeups if you look at it in that sense, that it's a change of speed from his regular fastball.
That's what makes it so maddening from the hitter's perspective.
This is the one guy I think he has the most respect for in their lineup. Gary Sheffield a little bit out of the batter's box there too with his back foot.
That's that. You know, at the start of the game, the leadoff hitter normally is the first guy to get back there before he ever gets in the box and take that white line out of there, Joe. You've done it. I know you've done it. Take that white line out of there. Now Sheffield's out of the box.
Yeah, his back foot is actually out of the batter's box.
The 1-0 pitch hit hard and foul.
There it is right there. There's the line. Well, actually, I'm sorry. That's a bad line. Bad line, guys. See, it should go from here straight across.
Well, it's not working no matter how you try it.
I'm not very good at drawing a straight line. I can circle them. Maybe I should just circle them.
Circle that back line.
Yeah.
Can we get a new canvas on the easel for Mr. Morgan?
Okay, here we go. Let's take a look. See, it goes straight
It goes right
there.
through Eddie Perez's leg.
Now, it goes right there. Now, here's where he's standing, right there. I got it. There you
got
go.
it.
Right there. There it is. Now, watch,
Joe.
That's where he's standing. That's the line. Now, watch where he puts his foot behind that line, and he's really out of the batter's box. Well, I mean, of what is supposed to be the batter's box. There's not a line there, so...
Getting out of that widespread stance and taking a called third strike. 8 for Maddux. Hernandez has 9. They're locked in a 1-1 duel through 6. Ryan Klesko has struck out and popped out. Ball 1 to him. Michael Tucker, who accounted for the Atlanta run with a second inning homer, is on deck.
Starts to get into territory where he's not normally used to pitching. You have to wonder and watch and see if his control goes off a little bit.
You know, when you watch Hernandez, I mean, he's almost a dead ringer for Maddux. I mean, in his delivery, it's so deliberate and always shooting the outside corner. He doesn't look like he wastes much effort.
The way he has pitched today, he is similar to Maddux. He's throwing off-speed pitches over the outside corner and fastballs over there.
His longest outing of the season was an 8-inning stint against the Reds on July 30th. He picked up the win. He hasn't thrown a complete game in the major leagues. Of course, complete games are a relative rarity even for staff aces now. Maddux only pitched 4 during the year. The 2-2 pitch. That is his 10th strikeout. It's a career high.
And that pitch had a lot of movement on it. It was not exactly where he wanted it, but it had movement. And that's why he was able to get away with it. This is supposed to be on the outside part of the plate. Watch where he sets up. He doesn't get it there. That ball there, but it's got a lot of movement on it, and it's upstairs.
That's his 96th pitch in this game with 10 strikeouts.
Tucker, who burned him in the second. Perfect pitch on the corner at the knees, strike 1.
If we think he's getting tired, he struck out 3 in a row now.
The 3 in a row he struck out in the first were his most important. First and third, nobody out, and he found Jones, McGriff, and Klesko. The hitting chart on Tucker.
Tucker's pretty much a fastball hitter. He tries to pull the ball most of the time. That's why he's more susceptible to all speed pitches, which they try to throw him when they can.
Pitch, and he's ahead of Tucker 1-2. Can you imagine, and this is assuming a lot, but can you imagine if Hernandez beats Maddux today and the Marlins go to Atlanta with Kevin Brown rested and recovered from the intestinal virus and ready to pitch game 6 with a 3-2 lead? Strike 3, his 11th.
Man, that's a beautiful pitch right there. It almost looks like it's straight as an arrow right into his glove. Let's take a look at the pitch sequence. Breaking ball over the outside corner. And he comes back with a high fastball. Now breaking ball on the inside. Now watch this. Right into the target. You do not see any glove movement by Charles Johnson. He just grabs it, holds it there. Perfect pitch.
Now Eddie Perez, who was twice grounded to third. Way outside, ball one.
Well, this guy throws so free and easy. I mean, it looks like there's no effort on his part. And consistently hitting spots. He's retired 11 in a row now.
And 11 strikeouts. 7 of them swinging, 4 of them called. Messina had 15 strikeouts yesterday for the Orioles before he had to leave. Perez won't strike out, but he will be retired. Counsell has it. Another perfect inning for Hernandez. Stretch time in Florida. Tied at 1.
NBC's coverage of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. And by Mobile, the energy to make a difference.
The Florida Marlins have 2 hits off Gregg Maddux. Bobby Bonilla has both of them. An RBI single in the first, another single in the fourth.
In between innings, Bobby Bonilla was talking to Gregg about the pitches that Maddux was throwing, and Gregg told him there was nothing wrong with the baseball.
After he singled in the fourth, Bonilla was the game's last base runner. Since then, Maddux has retired 8 in a row. Hernandez is working on a string of 12 retired in succession. 1-2.
Both of Bonilla's base hits came on outside fastballs, outside corner fastballs. Run scoring single in the opening inning. And then in the fourth inning, on a low outside sinker, he just got enough of it to drop it over the head of Jeff Blauser.
And this ball is well hit to right. Back goes Tucker, back by the fence for a leaping grab, but then it's jostled loose as he bangs into the wall. Bonilla to second with his 3rd hit. That ball was creamed. Tucker almost robbed him. But then, when he smacked into the wall, he couldn't hold it.
I mean, this is a bullet. He does a great job of getting his glove on it, but it's a snow cone, and the wall forces it out. Now he doesn't know where it is. And he comes up, and Bonilla gets a double. This is a high pitch, and Bonilla rips it. I mean, it's a great attempt there by Tucker, but it's in the edge of his web, and the ball was just jarred out by the wall.
Tucker now looking for there's Bobby Cox, and yes, can't understand it, can't believe it, but Tucker, a fine effort, and as Joe said, as he hit the wall, the ball popped away. Here it is again one more time. Bonilla really smoked this ball. It was hit like a rocket. Tucker caught it, dropped it. Bonilla with a double, and now Tucker and a few of the other Braves looking for, I guess, a couple of contacts, maybe 1 or 2 even. Here it is again. At the wall, the catch, Joe said the snow cone, and it popped away, and he also lost his contacts. Maybe 1, maybe 2. They're searching as we speak. Heck of a play by Tucker. Great effort. Couldn't hang on to it. That's what they're looking for.
Minus the contacts, he's looking around. There must be something white, just a fuzzy thing, a blur here. Let me pick it up. That must be the ball.
Well, I think he lost it, Bob, as he banged into the wall. They're looking all over for it now, and can't find it.
Listen to the sound. Our field mics pick it up. Listen to how hard Tucker hits the wall, which of course is padded, thankfully.
That'll jar your contacts loose.
So a double for Bonilla, who was 1 for 15 in this league championship series prior to today, and now has 2 singles and a double in 3 trips.
And Gregg Maddux is going to go in to sit down.
Well, at the top of the broadcast, we talked about Bobby Bonilla being 1 for 15, and one of the guys they really had to get going. That's his second base hit over the head of Blauser, and now in the 7th inning, a ripping double to right. That's what they needed today from Bonilla, and he's delivered. Michael Tucker now heading for the Atlanta dugout, and hopefully another pair of contacts or his regular glasses. There you saw Gregg Maddux. He's in the dugout sitting on the bench, and it'll be a couple of minutes. Maddux upset at himself. That pitch was upstairs, and Bonilla hit it.
Maybe Jim Gregg can give us a bit more information. Here's Jim.
All right, Bob. Well, they've just gone inside to look for a pair of glasses or some spare contacts for Tucker. They're not sure right now whether they have either one, either contacts or glasses, so he's gone into his own locker to look in his bag. Bob?
Well, he ought to know whether or not he brought a spare. The last thing Bobby Cox wants to do is to have to go to his bench and use up a player in a situation like this.
Well, especially Tucker, because he's accounted for their only run.
Meanwhile, let's talk about the game situation. Bonilla at second with nobody out. Conine is the hitter. He did hit the ball well his last time up. He sent Klesko to the fence to haul in his drive to left, but he's 0 for 13 in this series, and he doesn't have a sacrifice bunt all season. He's a right-handed hitter, so it's more difficult for him to push the ball to the right side. Do you say right now this is a game, especially since we've reached the 7th, this is a game that one more run might win, and send somebody like Cangelosi up there who can bunt, who's a switch hitter, can step up from the left side and move the runner over?
Well, I think he would use Dalton more than Cangelosi, because Dalton would have to go in and play first base.
Sure.
So he has to make up his mind, is this the inning of decision?
On the other hand, if you want to bunt, I'm thinking if you want to play it as a straight bunt, then Cangelosi or Eisenreich would be a better bunter than Dalton.
They would be better bunters, but then you use up 2 players, and you may have to go to extra innings with this ball game. So you're better off, say, if I'm going to do something, I use Dalton to pinch hit, let him pull the ball, and then he can go in and play first base, and I'm not using up all my hitters, because this game could go extra innings, and if you use 2 players in this one situation, it won't work.
The delay continues, and we have more from Jim Gregg.
All right, Bob. Well, Bobby Cox just came over and said to Andrew Jones, go ahead and get warmed up. In fact, Andrew Jones is going to go out into the field right now because they do not have a replacement pair of contacts or glasses for Tucker, and the game is being delayed too long, so Andrew Jones is going to replace him.
Well, if you've ever lost a pair of contact lenses, even around your own house, and they fall into the floor, you know what a needle in a haystack type search it is. And with 1 or 2 contacts being jarred loose on the warning track, you knew they had almost no chance to find them.
Wouldn't it be great if Andrew Jones went out there and played this half inning and then came back in the dugout and said, I found them?
They're a little dried out, but I have them right here in my pocket.
There you see it again, and Tucker hit that padded area. There's where he lost it. You know what it looked like? His sunglasses came down and actually moved into his eye and maybe popped the contact out. That's what it looked like happened. He got rid of those flip-top glasses. Watch this. Watch as he hits the fence or the padded area, the wall. And now watch the glasses come down into his eye. Into his eye, and probably popped it out right there. Instead of regular sunglasses, a lot of players wear those regular sunglasses today instead of those pop-down jobs that were so commonplace years ago. Some players still use them, but it proved to be the demise of Tucker there. And Andrew Jones now in right field.
Replacing Tucker, who had homered and struck out twice. Now a big at-bat for Conine. Swinging and hitting it up the middle. It takes a big hop off the mound into center field. Bonilla waved home. Here's the throw to the plate. Nowhere close. And taking second on the play is Conine. It's 2-1 Marlins.
And you always have confidence that you've had success before. This ball is hit off the mound back through the middle for a base hit. Now here comes a mistake. Kenny Lofton throws the ball over the cutoff man's head, and you see Conine advance to second base. So he actually switches places with Bobby Bonilla. They're in the same situation.
Now Alou takes a strike. Not much rattles Gregg Maddux, but is it worth asking? After a long delay, an unexpected delay, Maddux goes out and Conine jumps on the first pitch.
Well, I thought they gave him an unfair advantage. They let him throw some pitches. You get to throw pitches when there's an injury. That was not an injury.
1-1 to Alou. Here's Maddux's reaction. He's behind 2-1. And not much of a reaction.
Well, but I think he's upset because they also overthrew the cutoff man. You put another runner in the scoring position with no one out.
One and two.
Jeff Conine, another Marlin who had been hitless. 0 for 13 until that big base hit. But with the Marlins on top.
Well, you said it at the top of the game, They've got to get Bonilla and Conine, people like that who haven't produced, got to get them going. They have the RBIs today. Alou reaches for it, rolls it to Chipper Jones, looks the runner back, throws high. McGriff stays on the bag.
Well, Chipper Jones almost took too long on that slowly hit ground ball by Moises Alou. But he fired in time to get him by about a half a step, no more than that. The ball is slowly hit. Jones charges, takes a look at second, and now really has to get rid of it in a hurry. The high throw pulled down by Freddie McGriff, and he just threw out Alou by about a half a step.
Now Charles Johnson bounced to the box and struck out on the corner for a strike. Even if the Marlins don't tack another one on here. It's Blauser and then Maddux in the 8th. Those are the first two hitters. And Jim Leyland's already thinking, if Hernandez can give me just one more strong inning, then he can get me to Nen for the 9th. 0-2. Charles Johnson's mom and dad. Charles Sr. was a baseball coach and algebra teacher at Westwood High in Fort Pierce, Florida, who pretty much made CJ into a catcher, drilling him as a youngster. Maddux wheels and pegs him behind the runner and picks him off.
Boy, what a big play that is.
Conine, red-faced as he departs.
What a big play by Maddux. Turns, fires, and with Lockhart covering, they got him.
We have just seen a lot of poor base running in the postseason this year, and he is out.
He got him.
Get him right there on the arm.
And now Johnson finishes the inning by striking out for the second time. 9 strikeouts for Maddux, but after 7, he trails 2-1. What a story developing here. Hernandez in front of Maddux, 2-1. Here's the play back in the bottom half of the 7th.
Well, the one thing you can't do is get picked off when you're already in scoring position. You see here they definitely get him. But two things, it causes two things.
First pitch to Blauser, in for a strike, and those two things are.
For instance, if he stays there and they get Charles Johnson out, they have to choose whether they're going to pitch to Counsell or not. I think they would have walked him to, bring up Hernandez. And even if he lets Hernandez hit, then you have your leadoff hitter leading off in the 8th inning. In case something happens, you have more chances of scoring runs if your leadoff hitter is leading off the ball game for you or leading off an inning for you. So even if they wouldn't have scored the run, the other things that would have happened would have helped them in the long run.
There have been some things, considering, as Tommy Gregg moves into the on-deck circle, considering the quality of these two teams, there have been some things in the field and on the bases that would drive a manager to the ledge in this series. 1-2. Hernandez has struck out 11.
I'll tell you, he's starting to run it up there a little bit better than he did at the start and in the middle innings of this game. He's at 88 and 89 now here in the 8th inning.
Embry and Cather in the Atlanta bullpen. Maddux is finished. Gregg will hit for him next.
Good pitch, though, and with a 2-strike count. That was a great pitch. It wasn't a strike. It's just that it was a good pitch because it's tough for you to lay off. I'm surprised Blauser was able to lay off that pitch.
Here's the 2-2. Full count.
And you saw the nod of the head by home plate umpire Gregg that was his way of saying the pitch was high.
Well, he's got to throw one in there now, whether Blauser hits this ball out or not. I mean, he's got to throw one in there, right down Main Street. This is where he's got to challenge Blauser.
We asked Hernandez before the game if his family and friends in Cuba could follow this game. He said he wasn't sure. Strike three. A dozen now.
I'm going to tell you something. I think Gregg has done a great job as we see the Cuban flag there. He has done a great job of calling pitches and being consistent here. Watch this. Now watch the target. Look at this target. Right there. That's strike three.
There is a large Cuban population in the Miami area. Some of them are older citizens who left at the time of the revolution. Others are those who have managed to leave the island in the last few years. Baseball has always been a passion in Cuba, dating back to the 19th century. The list of Cuban greats in the major leagues is long. Tommy Gregg had only 19 big league at-bats, but they wanted to be fortified from the left side for the postseason, so they brought him up from the minors. He won the International League batting title this year at Richmond, brought him up from the minors just before September 1st in order to have him eligible for the playoffs. 1-1.
Whether he wins this ball game or not, this is going to do just unlimited amount for his confidence. I think you're looking at the making of the star here in Hernandez and the way that he's able to control his pitches.
It's not just his stuff. Replacing Kevin Brown today, with Brown scheduled for Game 6 Tuesday in Atlanta. Not just his stuff, but his composure.
Exactly.
It's not just the playoffs. It's against Maddux. 2-2.
And I mean, his confidence at the beginning of next season, no matter what happens, is going to have to be real high. And that's how you make a star.
Oh, look at this crowd. Everybody in this stadium is on their feet. Everybody. Hang another one, they're saying.
They want to hang the 13th.
And just think, he gave up a triple to open the game, a base on balls, and then he struck out 3 straight in the top of the first inning.
There it is, number 13, as he gets the pinch hitter Gregg. He is 1 behind the National League Championship Series record for strikeouts in a game, shared by John Candelaria of the Pirates and Mike Scott of the Astros. Of course, yesterday Mike Messina struck out 15 in the ALCS for the Orioles.
And he's done it with great location and great velocity. Good high fastball away. And I was part of that the 14 that John Candelaria struck out, and it was in a very similar situation. He was a rookie pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates in the playoffs against the Big Red Machine, and he punched out 14 in that ball game. He was great.
How many times did he get you?
I don't remember that, Bob.
I see.
Can't remember that.
Here's Lofton, who was struck out once. He also tripled to open the game. Here's a question. With Hernandez throwing this well, do you still go to Nen in the 9th if you have a 1-run lead?
I think you do. I really do. I think it's to that point in the game where he's getting up there in the pitch count. He's still throwing very hard. As a matter of fact, that strikeout pitch was 92 miles an hour. But that's the reliever's job. That's your closer's job.
He struck out 6 of the last 7 men he's faced.
Hey, that's why Jim Leland gets the big bucks. He's got to make that decision.
He's retired 14 in a row and struck out 6 of the last 7. On the other hand, Leland's bullpen has been great in this series. 15 innings, only 2 runs allowed. Lofton thought he had a walk, dropped the bat. That displeased Eric Gregg, showing him up a bit.
Yeah. Well, when they take off their mask, that means you upset them, right? You
got that right. I might be hacking here before he lets this one go.
If it's in the area, can he take a hack?
Hernandez struck out the side of the first. A pitch away from doing it here in the 8th. The 3-2. And Lofton spoils it.
Very similar pitch.
That's what that makes you do. That pitch out there, if it was a strike or not, anything in that area, you better be hacking at it. Lofton heading for a new piece of lumber. But this pitch was down low and away off the outside corner. But he took a whack at it and fouled it up along third. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm amazed at this kid and his poise and his control in that area off the outside corner all day long, right-handed or left-handed batter.
He's allowed Atlanta only 3 hits, none since a 4th-inning leadoff single by Fred McGregg. And a walk to Lofton, who throws his bat aside as if to say to Eric Gregg, was that one far enough outside the strike zone for you?
Eric Gregg has been pretty good all day today. I really think he has been. There's the high fastball to Lofton. Kenny flipping that bat and saying, okay, see you later. You know, the one thing I like about Gregg too, Joe, I mean, he's been consistent all day long. I love that fast strike call that he gives you. I really do. I love to see umpires bang, pump that right arm out there as quick as they possibly can. It really helps up here, and it helps you as a catcher too. I mean, he voice-wise, he's right on every pitch.
Keith Lockhart takes a strike. The walk to Lofton was only the 2nd issued by Hernandez, the 1st since he walked Lockhart as the 2nd batter in the game.
This is where you distinguish the difference between a guy that steals bases and a base stealer. A base stealer has to steal a base in this situation. And guys that steal bases, they get their numbers, but they're not able to do it when you have to do it, when everybody in the ballpark knows you're supposed to go.
I know we've mentioned this repeatedly, but he doesn't have a steal in the postseason. Installed only 27 during the regular year and was caught 20 times. He bluffs the go. The pitch is high and outside.
I have seen Maury Wills in this situation. I've seen Lou Brock. I've seen all the great base stealers. And that's what they are, base stealers. They will steal a base in this situation.
That was Lofton when he was with Cleveland. But this year, there weren't many late-inning steals among the 27 he managed to swipe. This is what they got him for, at least in part, for situations like this.
Leading off late inning with a 1-run deficit.
Not going. 2 balls and a strike.
I know it may sound stupid, but if you have a base stealer's mentality, you have to go. Even if you're thrown out, you have to have that mentality to say, I can do it and I have to get it done right here. I mean, the pennant's on the line here.
He goes on the 2-1 pitch, and Lockhart fouls it back.
I like that. No matter what, he has to go. And if they get him, they got him. But you have to go. If you just stay there, then, you know, you're losing a lot of respect around baseball.
He had a good jump that time against Hernandez. There he goes. You know, on the other side, too, Joe, you've got a guy like Charles Johnson, who in the back of his mind is saying, I hope he runs. I hope he runs.
And remember this. He has thrown Lofton out attempting to steal 4 times this year.
But that's in the past. This is a chance to go to the World Series. Everything that's happened before today, you let it go down and slide down your back.
The 2-2 pitch. There he goes. And another foul.
And I'm going to tell you, from a guy that tried to steal a lot of bases, I have a lot more respect for Kenny Lofton right now. Because you have to go. And he has made the attempt to go. And as I said, that's what you get paid the big bucks.
Yep, absolutely.
Hernandez began the inning by striking out Blauser and then the pinch hitter Tommy Gregg. He walked Lofton on a 3-2 pitch.
The other advantage you get here as a hitter, Joe, from time to time, too, with a guy like Lofton in front of you, you're going to get a lot of fastballs from a guy like Hernandez. But here at 2-2, you may see a breaking ball to Lockhart.
Another 2-2 pitch. This time he's not going, and Lockhart lines it foul.
And that was a breaking ball.
I mean, you can't keep sitting fastball, fastball, fastball. And that time Lofton holding. Lockhart got the breaking ball. This is a curveball down low and inside. And he just got a piece of it. Heck of a location. Off the inside corner, and Lockhart fouls it.
Marlins lead it 2-1 in the 8th. Hernandez steps off. another 2-2 pitch. The runner goes. That's ball 3. Johnson's throw. Got him! Senior approves. So does a packed house. Is there anybody better than CJ?
This is just perfect execution. A great jump by Kenny Lofton. A great throw by Charles Johnson. But here's what makes the play. Renteria drops his foot, his knee in front of the bag, blocking the bag. Watch, he drops his knee here, right here. Now see, he takes that hand away, so Kenny has to reach with his other hand, and it takes him longer to get to the bag. Look at that knee right there. No place for Kenny to go. He reaches with his right hand, and he's tagged out. That's just perfect execution by the Marlins.
CJ's reaction, his parents' reaction. What's not to like? Wow. Craig Counsell, the analysis on the attempted steal coming from Joe Morgan, a guy who swiped almost 700 for his career.
Lofton got a great jump as you take a look at his parents, but I mean, Lofton did his job and the Marlins did theirs.
Mike Cather is the new Atlanta pitcher facing Craig Counsell. Charles Johnson Sr. bought a pitching machine when Charles Johnson Jr. was just a 10 or 11-year-old kid and set it up to throw pitches in the dirt. And he made CJ don the catching gear and block pitches in the dirt. Then he stood 10 or 12 feet from him and threw pitches into his face with the mask on, I might note you. Threw pitches into his face just to see if the kid wouldn't flinch. He made him a catcher.
Well, I'll tell you, when you have a catcher like Johnson or any of the other guys who can really throw, and I said it a moment ago, as a catcher, you want guys to try to run. I mean, you're not going to throw them all out, but you want them to try when you got that kind of an arm. And that was not an easy pitch to receive it and then throw him.
Counsell chops one over the mound. It's beyond Cather, charging his Lockhart. He barehands it, but he has to eat it. A leadoff single.
The tag and the execution by Renteria and the throw by Johnson is what makes this. Look, I put myself in Lofton's place. He did what he was supposed to do. And watch his left hand. He reaches with his left hand first. Right there. Now he takes it away, so now he has to reach farther with his right hand, and that's why he's out. He's only out by a fraction. This left hand is taken away right there, see? And then he has to reach with the right hand. Great execution by Renteria.
Well, Hernandez will be allowed to bat in a sacrifice situation, leading you to believe that he'll work the ninth. He bunts foul.
Well, if he's a good bunter, okay, but I don't, you know, one more run would mean a lot, but I understand Leland's what he's doing here. I feel like Leland does. I would not automatically go to a closer. I know Bob says that's his job, and he's right. But sometimes I think I have to, you know, you play it by the seat of my pants, so to speak. And that's what he's done this entire series anyway.
Throw to first and diving back is Counsell. Livan Hernadez has thrown 127 pitches through 8 innings. He's never pitched a complete game in the big leagues. But then again, he's never pitched a game quite like this.
Stressfully is this. I mean, well, this is a stressful game.
In which he struck out 13, and to this point outdueled Gregg Maddux. Plus, he gets a good bunt down. McGriff was going to tag him, then wheels and tosses it to Lockhart. Just a quick note, later tonight on Dateline, video and eyewitness accounts of the powerful tornado that struck downtown Miami in May. That's Dateline tonight after the game. Tornado struck not too far from where we are. Hear about it on Dateline after the game. Here's Devon White, hit by a pitch, struck out twice against Maddux. You know, with all the home runs and the high run totals around baseball the last few years, sometimes you begin to think you're at a softball game. Steamfitters Local 106 against the Police Athletic League, and all it's missing is a keg of beer and a guy selling raffle tickets. But you can really appreciate, especially with the pressure of playing for the pennant on the line, a pitcher's duel like this, in which base running and defense are at a premium. And this has been a national coming out party for defensive excellence on the part of players like Charles Johnson and Edgar Renteria. Devon White hits it to center. Lofton started in, now goes back, may have misjudged it, but makes the catch on the track. And scrambling back to second is Craig Counsell.
speed can make up for a lot of mistakes, because he definitely made one step in, but he was able to retreat well enough to get back in time to make that catch.
Kenny Lofton goes back about as good as anybody. That's always been a strong suit for him. And he did. He made a break in on this ball. He came in, took the initial step in, then had to go back quickly and makes the over-the-shoulder catch to take a base hit away from Devon White. His initial reaction, Joe, you were right, was in. He took one step in, then went back and made the catch.
Here is Renteria. This kid has really impressed us in this series, and we knew all about Charles Johnson coming in, but this is the first time that Johnson has played on national television this many days and nights in succession. He especially, and to a certain extent Renteria, making a name for themselves in this series.
Well, that's when you make your name for yourself in the postseason, when people can see you play and realize that you're competing against the best players, and then if you rise to the top 10, you know that you're in a special class.
0 for 3. Tap foul, but invaluable in the field throughout the season and in this series. Plus, he hit a very helpful .277, led the majors with 19 sacrifice bunts, and stole 32 bases.
Well, Kurt Abbott was their starting shortstop, and he went down with an injury, and Renteria took over the job, and he has just performed great.
Gregg Maddux lost Game 1 despite not yielding an earned run. Today, he may lose to Livan Hernadez despite pitching 7 innings of 4-hit ball and striking out 9.
That guy's expression has not changed throughout this game.
Other pitchers have lost like that to Maddux, too.
The 0-2 pitch misses outside.
Opening day of the division series, Darryl Kyle of Houston gave up 2 hits and lost to Maddux.
Yeah.
So
the only animation as far as Hernandez goes was when Gregg called him out for stepping out of the box. That was the only thing that upset him today.
2-2. When you look at Hernandez so calm and composed, maybe we ought to consider this. His whole family is back in Cuba. He can't keep track of them on a day-to-day basis. He doesn't know what the future holds. His whole country is in peril. Maybe pressure means something different to him. Renteria strikes out, setting the stage for the ninth, with the Marlins leading in Game 5, 2-1, and here comes Hernandez to finish it. Wayne Huizenga spent $89 million in long-term commitments for free agents and re-signings this past year. Ted Turner and Jane Fonda looked into the respective owners' boxes. And now back to where it counts, the batter's box, where Keith Lockhart takes a strike. He was at the plate when Lofton was thrown out stealing by Johnson to end the 8th.
You like a guy that can see the goal line. You know what I mean?
His breaking ball is as good here in the 9th inning. Still poised. Man, what an effort by Hernandez.
Ahead of Lockhart, 0-2. There's his 14th strikeout, tying the National League Championship Series record. He now shares it with John Candelaria and Mike Scott.
Well, he starts this game the way, he starts this inning the way he liked, throwing 3 straight breaking balls for strikes. And that's what they wanted to do to Lockhart. He's been wearing the fastball out, but he's thrown a lot of breaking balls tonight, and he has not been able to handle him. There's Alex Hernandez. He is psyched up at 2.
Chipper Jones 0 for 3, but a threat to tie it with a single swing.
He just stays consistently on that outside corner with a fastball. Every once in a while he'll come in, but 95% of the time he's been away. There's the curveball inside. What a job.
Jones has struck out twice. Hernandez told us he wasn't sure if this game could be seen in Cuba. If it is, it's likely that among those watching is a one-time pitching hopeful named Fidel Castro, who was once scouted by the Washington Senators.
We'll send him a tape.
1-2. Line drive caught by Hernandez. What hasn't he done?
What a play. And this ball is hit pretty good by Jones.
It's a blur.
Well, he hangs the breaking ball to Jones. He had not been hanging many pitches. You see it's a curveball, but it's up, and Jones goes with it right back through the middle. He reaches out, and he even has a little fun with it after he makes the catch. Watch, he gives you a little hop right there after he makes the catch. This guy's going to be a star.
Wow. But if he's to finish it now, he'll have to do it against one of the most dangerous late inning hitters of the past decade, Fred McGriff. McGriff has one of the 3 hits off Hernandez. In fact, he has the last one, a 4th inning single. Hernandez is an out away from going the distance, from beating Gregg Maddux, from pitching a complete game 3 hitter. He struck out 14. He showed he could handle the bat by sacrificing. He made a glittering defensive play moments ago. And now McGriff. A strike. Hernandez has retired 16 of the last 17 he's faced. Only a walk to Lofton with 2 out in the 8th, interrupting that string, and then Lofton was cut down stealing. So he's faced the minimum since McGriff's single in the 4th. 1-2. McGriff lays off. Charlie Williams agrees. Man, if Bobby Cox had known this was in store for him, he would have personally brought the Bromo Seltzer over to Kevin Brown's house. Now it's Cox's stomach that's doing flip-flops. The 2-2. Fouled off.
Don't underestimate Fred McGriff either. He's done it before in situations like this. Fastball. That time about belt high. He had a good rip. He's got power.
Well, this is goosebump time. What this kid's doing. Full count. He's thrown 141 pitches, but the way the adrenaline is pumping, it doesn't feel like that to him, at least not right now.
He's still got the good velocity on his fastball, but I think he has to make it happen right here. Even if he has to challenge him towards the middle of the plate, you do not want to walk him and bring the go-ahead run to the plate.
The 3-2 pitch. Got him! Eric Gregg punches him out on what McGriff thought was ball 4. It's his 15th.
Guys that can see the goal line and they can get it done. Bob Gibson wouldn't have come out here in the top of the 9th, and neither does Livan Hernadez. This is a breaking ball that he's been throwing over the outside part of the plate all night, and he gets the call from Eric Gregg for strike 3, and you see the excitement in the kid's eyes. I mean, the concentration right here is the same that he's had for 142 pitches, and he knows right here that he's done it.
Well, you said it early, Joe. Eric Gregg could set the tone with how liberal a strike zone he established. We thought we were talking about Maddux. We didn't realize that Hernandez would be the guy who would take such great advantage of it. And that pitch might have been outside, but It's pretty consistent with the way Eric has interpreted the strike zone today, and McGriff had to know that if it was anywhere close, the way Hernandez was going today, he'd better be wailing.
Well, Bob, they can beat this game up. They can do a lot of things to it, but it's games like last night in Cleveland and a game like we had here today that always brings the fan back. And I don't care what anybody says, this is the greatest game in the world.
Oh, what a job. I'll tell you, that's unbelievable, the consistency that he had all day long. And working corners and staying right there, and wherever Gregg was working as far as the corners go, that's where Hernandez did, and so did Gregg Maddux for that one.
And you see the 32 on the side of his cap. Were it not for the rotator cuff injury sustained by number 32, Alex Hernandez, after game 2 of this series, Hernandez would have worked out of the bullpen. He never would have gotten this start. And it's a start for the ages. Leland embraces him. They take a 3-2 lead to Atlanta. And we'll be back with more on the post-game report after this. Wow. We can only wonder if the folks in Villa Clara, Cuba, the hometown of Livan Hernandez, are aware of what's happening in South Florida right now. It's a baseball crazy nation. There's the Cuban flag. They've produced so many great ball players, both for their national team and those who have been able to make it to the major leagues over the years. And now Livan Hernandez is the latest hero, and he is with Jim Gregg.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Livan is going to get some interpretation from the PR department. Julio Sarmiento will help us interpret. Livan, how did you get your confidence today, and how are you able to maintain your poise in such a pressure-filled situation?
¿Cómo te quedaste tan calmado? Bueno, la confianza siempre uno viene con, siempre a mí me gusta tener confianza en sí mismo, conmigo mismo.
I always like to have self-confidence. It's something I have to have.
Y bueno, me sentí muy bien hoy, tenía la bola muy bajita.
I felt real good today, and I had kept the ball down low.
You came to the ballpark. Were you expecting to pitch, or were you expecting that Kevin Brown was going to pitch? And when were you contacted and let known that you would have to pitch today?
Me avisaron ayer que iba a abrir por la noche después del juego. Y bueno, me preparé muy bien mentalmente.
They told me last night after the game that I was going to start today, so I prepared myself mentally at that time.
We know it's very difficult for you to be in contact with your family back in Cuba. Do you have any idea if they were able to see your game today? And will you be able to speak to them tonight?
Bueno, yo sé que mi familia está en Cuba, pero bueno, eso a la hora de pichar hay que pensar en ello para tratar de hacer un buen trabajo también.
Yeah, I know my family's in Cuba, but at the time I go out to pitch, that's what I have to think about, is pitching and doing my job, just so I can do a good job for them.
Does he think they saw the game today, and will he speak to them tonight?
Bueno, a lo mejor lo oyeron por radio, o a otra persona lo oyó y le llevan la noticia rápido.
Hopefully they were able to hear it on radio, and if not, if someone else did, hopefully they were able to give them the news quickly.
Because of your family's situation, what we all would describe as a pressure-filled situation, is it easier for you to pitch, having gone through what you've had to get through to get here, and what your family goes through on a daily basis back in Cuba?
Lo que ha pasado en Cuba.
Bueno, a la hora de pichar uno, tú sabes, eso son cosas que yo no me preocupo mucho ni pienso en eso, porque si te pones a pensar en eso y piensas en eso, no te va muy bien, tú sabes. Yo a la hora de pichar no pienso mucho en eso, lo que hago es pichar ahí.
When it's time to pitch, I have to think about pitching. I can't think of everything that's happened in the past, because if I do, then I start worrying about that and not worrying about pitching. So when it's time to go out on the mound, I just think about pitching.
Congratulations, muy bueno.
Thank you. Hoy, bueno, le debo la victoria a la defensa que tuvimos y al gran catcher que tenemos, Charlie Johnson, que me ayudó mucho.
I have to give the victory to our defense that played behind me, and our great catcher, Charlie Johnson, who called a great game.
Wayne Huizinga, your owner, is sitting right here. He's waiting to get a word with you. Let's go upstairs to Bob Costas.
In the category of foregone conclusions, the player of the game is Livan Hernandez. Now the Marlins have twice beaten Gregg Maddux in this series. They take a 3-2 lead to Atlanta. But the Braves came back from 3-1 down against the Cardinals a year ago, and they have Glavine and Smoltz waiting if they can take it as far as a 7th game. We'll go to Greg Gumbel next.